Hi, everyone. I welcome you to this dialogue. I thank you very much for taking the time to be with us. It speaks of your commitment, your personal commitment to the care of creation, the care of the poor. I would like to invite our panelists today to introduce themselves. And after we've done that, then we will look at the video, which I would invite you to use as our prayer for the day. So, with our panelists, we would start um, possibly with Sister Marvi.
Hi, Sister Julie, and hello to everybody who's watching with us. Um, I'm Sister Marvi from Marymore.
Sister Carol Jean.
I'm Sister Carol Jean Willie. I'm a Sister of Charity of Cincinnati, calling from Cincinnati, USA.
Sister
I am
Teresa.
Sister Teresa Mlenga, a Teresian sister from Malawi, Aurum Secretariat. Thank you.
Sister Shanda, I think you were there. So would you introduce yourself, please? Maybe she can't hear. Sister Shanda? Well, while we wait for Sister Shanda to connect, maybe she can't hear us. I'm Sister Julie Marie Peters. I'm actually from the island of Grenada in the Caribbean. I'm presently serving in Rome.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sister Chandan Sofwa, a Salesian sister of St. John Bosco from Zambia. Thank you very much.
So thank you. So you have met our sisters and who will be part of the dialogue today. So what I would like us to do now, I would invite us to look at, to view the video of the Pope where he prayed for sisters and lay consecrated women and asked us to do that for the month of February. And this dialogue really came out of this prayer. So instead of saying a prayer, I would invite us to, as we view the video, to really pray the prayer, pray the sentiments of our Holy Father, of what he feels about religious life and what he feels about female religious life.
Este mes rezaremos de manera especial por las mujeres religiosas, las mujeres consagradas. ¿Qué sería la Iglesia sin las religiosas y laicas consagradas? No se puede entender la Iglesia sin ellas. Animo a todas las consagradas a discernir y a elegir lo que conviene para su misión frente a los desafíos del mundo que estamos viviendo. Las exhorto a seguir trabajando y hacer incidencia con los pobres, con los marginados, con todos los que están esclavizados por los traficantes. Especialmente les pido que hagan incidencia en esto. Y recemos para que puedan ellas mostrar la belleza del amor y la compasión de Dios como catequistas, teólogas, acompañantes espirituales. Los invito a luchar cuando en algunos casos son injustamente tratadas, incluso dentro de la Iglesia, cuando su servicio, que es tan grande, se lo reduce a servidumbre, y a veces por hombres de la Iglesia. No se desanimen, sigan dando a conocer la bondad de Dios a través de las obras apostólicas que hacen, pero sobre todo a través del testimonio de consagración. Recemos por las mujeres religiosas y consagradas, agradeciéndoles su misión y valentía para que sigan encontrando nuevas respuestas frente a los desafíos del tiempo actual. Gracias por lo que son, por lo que hacen y por cómo lo hacen.
I invite us, all of us who are participating on whatever platform you are, to just hold ourselves in silence, in the consciousness of what's going on in our world today. And I invite us in the silence of our hearts and in the consciousness of what's going on in Ukraine. We know that war destroys. It kills people, but it destroys the earth. So let us hold the cry of the people and the cry of the earth in our hearts in silence, sacred silence. And to end our prayer, I would invite us to be very conscious as I invite us to sign ourselves, but as we bless ourselves in the name of the Trinity, we bless the world and we bless especially areas of the world where there is so much unrest. So we bless ourselves and we bless our world. And let us be conscious as we do that. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. And I thank you very, very much. So now we get right into our conversation. So one of the things our Holy Father said in his prayer is that basically the church cannot be without religious sisters. And what would the church be without religious sisters? So I would just open that up to any of you, any of our sisters, to ask how have religious sisters helped the people of God to understand the church? How do you think we have helped that to happen?
I think, is it okay, Sister
Yes,
Julie?
yes,
Yeah, the word that comes to my mind is that I think religious life is a sacrament in itself, meaning that I think through us, God's love made manifest. I think for me, if there was there was no or there is no religious life present in the church, I think God would have in some other way, to really make God's love visible in some other way. One important contribution, I think, of the religious life in the church is its prophetic role. The It helped the church move the ecological spirituality of us faithful. And the task of this spiritual prophetic vocation at this moment is to really midwife the ecological effort in the church. So I'll stop there.
right. Thank you very much. As you spoke and you used the word prophetic, I was thinking the same thing. So I don't know if Sister Carol Jean would like to comment on that, the prophetic role of the church.
Very much. I think that that is certainly one of the roles that we play. And as I think of religious sisters, I think one of the gifts that we have is the ability to walk with people. And I think that's what all of our congregations invite us to do. Not to sit in an office, but to get out there and be with people. And, you know, we have so many different gifts. And I think the greatest gift we have in community is to encourage each other to use the gifts that God has given us. And I know for myself, in the many countries I have been, that I always come home having learned far more than I could ever give. And I think that is also something that our community gifts us with, is to help us to be open to the gifts that others have to offer and to collaborate. We're not in competition with each other. We choose to collaborate with each other. And I think that is also an important part of our prophetic witness for the church.
Yes, you know, as you spoke and you said that. So even though our charisms, even though all of us who are part of this panel today, we are from different congregations, and even though our charisms give us a distinctiveness, there is something. There are common threads. There's a commonality to who we are as religious women. And I think it goes back to the fact that we are all in love with God. We're committed to this faithfulness through vows. We're committed to community living, to relationships, the encounter with one another. And we're definitely committed to the mission, to service. So maybe Sister Shanda might want to share on maybe even collaborating with other religious. How have you experienced that?
Yes. Thank you very much, Sister Julie. While you were trying to comment and putting an emphasis on our prophetic presence in the church, I was trying to reflect on Lumen Gentium number 46. There's a phrase there which says, religious should carefully keep before their minds the fact that the church presents Christ to believers and non-believers. Now, in a striking manner, daily through them. And with this sentence, I was being made to reflect that in a world like ours today, which is torn apart by war and many difficulties and differences, here we are trying to minister to everybody. In my congregation, and not only, I'm aware of other congregations which are ministering, for example, in Muslim countries, in which Christians are minority. And I think this is something which, as women religious, we are putting before the world as one characteristic of the church, which is very, very important. This non-discriminative way of dealing with the people of God. And this is something which we share even among ourselves as religious. Where I am in Zambia, as a Salesian sister, we are into education. That is our charism. But that does not stop me from collaborating with other religious women who are equally into education, especially in our response to the poorest.
Thank you, thank you. And I'm sure Sister Teresa would want to say something about the response to the poor, in her congregation, or she's experienced it in other congregations.
Thank you very much, Sister Julie. My experience of a religious having a prophetic role, more especially with the poor, I see where our sisters are in the peripheries. And most of the times, the sisters, they work with very little payment. They will not consider how much is it that we are going to be given. But the main thing is the service that they give. And this straight away gives that picture that a sister is there just to serve. And as Sister Chanda had put it, you see that we are not working in isolation. Sisters work in collaboration. This time in Malawi, there are institutions where you're having more than one congregation. Despite the charisms being different, I think we are coming down to that witness that we are just servers, we are just missionaries, and that gives a true picture of what a church is meant to be. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And in that way, in that whole light of collaboration, I'm sure that you have done some collaborative work, all of us sitting here in our congregations, in moving Laudato Si forward, and also how your charism have influenced your response to the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. So I leave it for any one of you to jump in there and to share with us and to share with all the viewers how, as a congregation, you've been doing that.
Can I start?
So you could use your
In
slides, you could use your videos, whatever you want, and then we can go ahead.
in Malawi, for instance, I will use my word. I shared my slide with Jonathan, so that could be maybe shared later.
Okay.
Yes, but we as sisters have been working in collaboration. I'll give you an example of myself, sister from the Charity of Ottawa. We have servants of the Blessed Mary Sisters. Most of these sisters, they are working in collaboration with the Catholic Women Organization. They are working as matrons in their groups. So in their annual general meeting, we had a presentation which was made, unfortunately, by myself, but who were to be the implementers? It wasn't only Sister Teresa Mulenga. So it was the collaboration of the sisters who had to do that implementation in the dioceses. So the sisters who are in the southern region of Malawi had taken a big role in making sure that the tree planting activity, which was a part of our resolution, is being carried out. Sisters in the southern region, they are also doing the same. It's not only a sister from a single congregation, as you can see, sisters
Right.
from different congregations were working together hand in hand. And our focus has been working with the women. Why? Because the women are mostly affected with the environmental effects, but also in terms of taking out skills, responsibilities, the women's are paramount. Us being religious women, we have targeted these Catholic women as well as the youth and also the general public. And really, this is being done in collaboration. So I've seen that working very much here in Malawi, and we're sure that we are going to do a lot. As of now, I would proudly say that across Malawi, in all our 8 dioceses, that means cutting across the country, there is a lot of tree planting activity taking place. Since we are in the rainy season and the sisters are in the forefront, you can see the working with the youth, school girls, where the sisters are also working. I would stop there for now.
Well, congratulations, fantastic work. It really emphasizes that sisters have always worked along with others. And in our working, we have always educated others. And it's great to just see us implementing Laudato Si in such a radical way and at the same time in such a traditional way because we've always worked with education and teaching others. So I would like to now just ask the other sisters to share.
I'll go next, Julie. If yes,
Yes.
um, I think we go into this term collaboration, which I think at the beginning of the inception of religious life have already always been, a collaboration, not only with other congregations, but with other people, with the people in the community as well. People, the faithful. So that's actually my experience in terms of my work, as a missioner, as a cross-cultural missioner. I was in Taiwan. So I think the collaboration goes beyond even, from being a Catholic to interreligious collaboration. I've worked with Buddhists with my work in Taiwan. And in the Philippines, when I came back, I've worked with green networks of NGOs. And of course, also with my work in the UN, I work with many congregations that are represented at the ECOSOC. So that's my experience in terms of collaboration. And this picture right now, it's really working with the Jesuits here in the Philippines, training community on disaster risk reduction. So I, I mean, the word collaboration in itself really gives an example of how integral ecology, could work for everybody. This really gives us a lot of learning, not only spiritually but also, economically, socially. So that's it's so full. It's so a lot of it teaches a lot of uh, I think in terms of how God's love manifests.
It's wonderful that our collaboration is not just within the Catholic Church, but really, that's a Franciscan value we have all imbibed. We have gone interreligious. I'm thinking of Francis and his dialogue. you know, um, with 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 the Sultan, breaking boundaries, and religious sisters have continued to break boundaries, and in that way we continue our prophetic voice, and that is how we made a lot of adjustment even to implementation of Vatican II, and now in the implementation of Laudato Si. So I know Sister Carol Jean also had a similar background of working at the UN, representing about 200 plus religious congregations. So I'll invite Sister Carol Jean to share, and then afterwards I'll share my own congregation.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Our congregational vision statement invites us to strive to be persons who choose to live simply in a complex world, committed to the healing of our global home, to embrace cultural expansion in membership and ministry, to learn from and are in solidarity with the poor, to risk being prophetic in church and society, and to journey together toward wholeness. And in trying to do that, we also say that we choose to risk a caring response. And I'd like, Jonathan, if you would put this short video on that I sent you, and then I'll comment on that. Thank you.
Wow. So we've been doing a lot of work. And in many areas, we do similar work, but sometimes because of our charisms, we have particular emphases.
In the 1970s, Sister of Charity and biologist Paula Gonzalez began to notice the ecological implications of our reliance on fossil fuels. She also began to identify ways for us to change our behaviors. First, she transformed an old chicken coop into a solar home. Then she initiated the repurposing of a garage into a 3,900 square foot Earth Education and Eco-Spirituality Center called Earth Connection. This opened in the early 1990s. The building features an experimental geothermal and solar system, natural lighting, super insulation, floor tiles made of waste glass, a wall made of aluminum cans, and carpeting constructed from recycled plastic bottles.
In 2015, the Sisters of Charity of Cincinnati did an energy study of our mother house, educating ourselves about the particulars of our energy footprint and now we've acted on our learnings. We partnered with Malink Industries in Milford, Ohio, who helped us consider ways to make our property more ecologically sustainable, along with installing a geothermal and solar system for houses on our mother house grounds. We followed the advice of Malink to replace our mother house kitchen hood, which controls the ventilation and conditions the air by not constantly running.
The study also revealed that our incandescent lights in the mother house were emitting 512 metric tons of carbon dioxide annually. We're in the process of replacing these 10,500 light bulbs with LED bulbs, which are 90% more efficient and energy conserving.
Pope Francis reminds us social love moves us to devise larger strategies to halt environmental degradation and to encourage a culture of care which permeates all of society. We Sisters of Charity of Cincinnati are choosing to live these words on a daily basis by lightening our carbon footprint.
Now,
Thank you.
that video was done several years ago, and since that time, we have replaced all 10,500 light bulbs in our mother house. But we also are in the process of building a new ministry center, which will be net zero. It will use both geothermal and solar energy. Earth Connection, that was mentioned in that video, is where I currently work as the program director. And in addition to providing a lot of different kinds of programs, I also interact with a number of different organizations. One here in Cincinnati is called Faith Communities Go Green. And it's an interfaith initiative in our tri-state area, Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana, to engage our religious congregations of every tradition to come together around care for Earth. And we've been in existence for a little over a year now, and our membership has just grown by leaps and bounds because there is such a desire for people to do something. And what we try to do, as the UN has asked us to do through their Faith for Earth project, is to bring a moral voice to care for creation. And in caring for creation, yes, we do care for the poor because they are most affected by the exploitation that is currently taking place. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Similar to Sister Carol Jean, I'm thinking Laudato Si was written 7 years ago. And you talk about when you started, and I'm thinking of my own congregation in 1992, which is 30 years ago. But even before that, our Constitution, we says fidelity to our Franciscan tradition and our charism requires in whatever we have or whatever we do, we are to manifest simplicity, generosity, moderation, and reverence for all creation. So I would like Jonathan to put up the PowerPoint and just let us share a little bit about what we do as Sisters of the Sorrowful Mother across the world where we are. So in that sense, I think we can see all congregations really being prophetic, really being ahead of the church in a certain sense. So the picture before was sisters in Brazil. This is sisters in Italy doing tree planting. Sisters in the United States, and we'll show a short video after that, doing pollination by, harvesting butterflies. sisters in Grenada, at the school, Austria, Tanzania, again Italy, Brazil, and the United States, another part of Italy, again, working with youths, cleaning up, beach cleaning, recycling, teaching little ones to save energy, protecting insects and increasing insect population, Germany particularly. I wanted to share this because mostly all the sisters you saw there are sisters in their 80s and their 90s. And it shows something about the spirit of women religious, not only of my congregation, but of all congregations. That so even when we talk about being prophetic, we really are speaking about continuing to share our lives in powerful ways until we are called to the next life. And that is something we bring to the church. We bring a stamina, we bring a faithfulness, we bring a strength that that the church needs. And we give witness to that. That fidelity to the end, that staying faithful to what we're called to. So I would like to open up the conversation among us in terms of, for us, this ecological crisis. We who have been in healthcare and leaders in healthcare, leaders in education for generations and generations, how are we as religious women educating and embracing the ecological education, helping us to rethink how we do education on the whole? Sister Carol Jean mentioned a little bit about that, and I think all of you really did mention some. So I don't know if you want to start with Sister Teresa, because and maybe she would want to share, because we, in the first part, we didn't hear you. So, Sister Teresa.
Um,
Or is it Sister Shanda that I missed? I know I missed
in
one.
the
All right. Thank you very much, Sister Julie. What I
Yes.
wanted to share is that specifically during our 24th general chapter, in the experience of working together, we had the Gospel of Cana, Our Lady in Cana in Galilee, as our icon for reflection during our general chapter, welcomed the style of God, which is a dynamic and creative presence. And speaking about the presence, we said it should be a presence of tenderness and mercy that serves his daughters and sons. So reflecting further, we said in the heart of contemporaneity, it is fundamental to reclaim the prophecy of the presence, which was assumed by Don Bosco and our co-foundress Maria Domenica Mazzarello. And this has been given to us in our Salesian charism. And this helped us to make priority choices, which were three. And these priority choices, the first one was to look at a solid ongoing formation in order to respond to the needs of today's world. Formation not only for us as Salesian sisters, but also formation, integral formation for the people collaborating with us and the people we are working with at large. And then our second choice was a missionary synodality. Speaking about collaboration, the church now is reflecting along with everybody about synodality, so that we looked at that as a cardinal choice for us as a congregation, which will help us to collaborate more with the others. And the third choice, which is a cardinal to the dialogue we are having today, is listening to the cry of the poor and the cry of the earth from the perspective of integral ecology. And this led us to come up with a deliberation for our congregation. Coming up with a deliberation for an educational congregation like ours implied that each and every one of our institutions, wherever we are all over the world, has to take up this aspect of integral ecology from the perspective of the preventive system in all our education activities, not
Wow.
only in our schools.
Wow. I think Sister is putting up her slides, but it's wonderful to see religious congregations just picking up on new responses. So I hope, Sister, we will be able to see her slides. Um, because it seemed to have been the last general chapter. And for those of you looking on who don't know what a general chapter is the highest decision-making body of any congregation. And when they meet in chapter, they make decisions that will shape the life of the congregation, maybe for the next 4 years, for some 5 years, 6 years. And they implement those decisions. Some people call it mandates, some people call it directives and chapter directives, and they live by it and hold themselves, to its faithfulness. So the slides are up now.
So the slides are coming on, trying to show, I was mentioning when I disappeared, the call in all our educative institutions to take up this aspect of integral ecology. There we have a season of creation by the primary school kids, tree planting in our home for girls at risk, so no one is exempted. They too need to learn. And that they don't do that alone, the sisters are with them. The Laudato Si animators do activities of advocacy and sensitization. Sensitization also in regard to the protection of the river sources. There are dangers at times of our governments wanting to use forests, which are river sources, for buildings and other forms of development. So as Laudato Si animators, we move into that and try to do a bit of advocacy. We sensitize against tree cutting, especially in river sources again. Bushfires, we sensitize against burning the bushes. We sensitize also on waste management, and we do this always from the preventive way of educating. I may end here for now. Jonathan.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sister. I'm sure that our viewers by now really get the message that sisters are really leading the way, and in many ways we are in the forefront of taking the documents of the church. We've always done that, and move with it. We've implemented it. So, when parishes struggle to do that, religious congregations have already gone long time. And then, we really are trailblazers. We really are. And it's not singing our own triumph, but it's really saying, this is who we are. This is our identity as women religious and as consecrated women. We take our role, our prophetic role, seriously, and we dedicate ourselves to change. We have adapted, since Vatican II, and now we are in a very, very different era. And it's just from what we have shared, and there are only five of us here. There are hundreds of congregations. So just imagine if we just pull them together and we talk about what we've been doing, we'll see that we are already beginning to adapt to the radical changes that are happening right now. So, any one of you would want to share on new responses to the current situation, please go ahead and do that.
I'd like to speak on that, Julie. I think for the Marinal sisters, as your congregation has done, we've been discussing about earth issue related issues since 70s. Um, so I think uh, one of the very important discussions we have in very recent times is that on top of the list of what do we what needs do we address in the church, we chose one of the signs of times, and in top of that is the planetary crisis, climate change, along with pollution of the earth, and also biodiversity, the loss of biodiversity. Even before Laudato Si in 2014, we revised our vision to that of what we call the One Earth community. And what it is that One Earth community reorients our relationship to that of interconnectedness of everything. So this reflection helped us to critically think that humanity's lack of understanding of our place in relationship with creation. This is very vital if we are talking about integral ecology. We human beings have come, after levels in the evolutionary process. How to in terms of climate change, where do we go? I think right now what we are looking into, especially with the work that I did with others at the UN, is that looking into the inequality or inequity and violence that are two of the most significant signs of times, which are related to the cry of the earth and the cry of marginalized people, the cry of the poor. The cry of the earth and people who are being marginalized and experiencing extreme poverty is one, okay? Because we are earth and earth is us. This is what we need to focus our energies are as women of the church, and we have heard it, we've seen it, as to address the end of the cause of the suffering. So, in my policy advocacy work at the UN, I have focused on UNEP. I have focused on climate change and COP. So we have given the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor a very focused response. And it has to be systematic because this is a system, this is an earth system process. We need data, we need science, and of course, again, that change of behavior, that change of the way we look ourselves as humans, in relationship to nature. I think that's the fundamental need that we would like to address as a congregation. It is writing our relationships. And I'll
Okay.
stop on that.
Thank you very, very much. Um, it really just shows that there is really one cry. There is no cry of the earth and cry of the poor. There is one cry. There is one cry. Just as Francis recognized that there is one relationship. Everything is interconnected. There is one web to life. There is one cry. We only have a little less than 15 minutes to go. I would really like to open it up to our viewers and anyone who would like to ask a question of any of the panelists or to write something in the chat or whatever you would like to do, but we would want to engage you now. Sorry, when women get talking, religious women get talking, we don't have to stop, right? Because we have so much to say. So I apologize for that. Question. How can you stay connected and work with these sisters? How can we stay connected and work with these sisters? They're already responding to the Crab the Earth and the Crab the Poor in creative ways. Well, all of these sisters here they come from congregations that have websites. And one of the blessings of the pandemic is that we have all gone online and we're doing things online. And I would say that's one way to join us in what we're doing. Some of us have discussions, some of us have webinars, some of us have, all various things going on. So just look at the sisters who are here. You know, we could always make sure you get in touch with the movement, Laudato Si movement. They will be able to give you everybody's address, everybody's phone number, everybody's website, and you can get in touch with the sisters, and we will surely incorporate you in what we're doing, because one of the things we do best is collaborate. And we could do that across any platform these days. So we're not shy in doing that. So please get in touch with us. Thank you for that question. Any other question or comment? It doesn't have to be a question. It could be a comment, something you heard that resonated with you.
While we're waiting for a question, I just want to say that I think another way that sisters are working today is we no longer have hundreds of people in the classroom or in healthcare.
Right.
But what we do find is our sisters are working with city council on poverty issues, being part of the homeless coalition in the city, participating in interfaith initiatives, and bringing the expertise that we do have, that we have been gifted with, to all of these organizations, but also learning from them and working again in collaboration.
Yes, thank you very much for saying that, Sister Carol Jean, because I was thinking that in our 2007 chapter, we called ourselves to really concentrate on the destruction of the earth, violence against women and children, and migration. Since then, migration and the disintegration of families. And it really catapulted us into the other chapters to really take a very strong stance against human trafficking. And so we've been working there, and we cannot do that alone. So we're doing that across religious congregations. We work a lot with the Jesuits here in Rome. And in the United States, for instance, the sisters work with all kinds of organizations, lay organizations. And in the Caribbean, they try too. So wherever we are, we do some work. And I know that is true of many, many religious congregations. So thanks for bringing that up. So that's another way people can join us.
There was a question asking us what inspires us most. Can I take up that one?
Sure, please.
Mhm.
Exactly. What inspires me, and I believe this is what inspires and encourages the other religious sisters, is that we are here as people who are called to give life. And one way of giving life is making sure that we try to educate and see life in the people we are working with. Taking it up from the Global Pact of Education, which is encouraging all of us to make sure that there is equal access to education for everyone. And taking it up also from what Sister Julie said, that there is just one cry, the cry of the poor and the cry of the earth. We want to reflect and make sure that we unite in trying to respond to this particular cry. And one way of responding to this cry is making sure that we give this education, which is going to give us the freedom which we need in order to respond to the ecological crisis we are facing in today's world.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In a certain sense, when we look at integral ecology itself invites us to see humanity in a web of relationship and among themselves and with all other living things. And if we embracing that in our education, we embracing that in all us, we have to embrace that among ourselves. And I think that's the main point. And I guess being Franciscan, that's deep in my soul. Because the essence of the Canticle of Creatures that Francis wrote, and which became almost the heart of the document Laudato Si. Francis was maybe the first person to recognize the oneness of everything, the oneness of everything, and to live in that space of that oneness. Really, if we could embrace that, I don't think we would be having what we have in today in Ukraine and Russia. That oneness that helps us to see. In the Christian tradition, we have two revelation of God, right? The sacred scripture and what? The environment. And so if creation, the environment. So if we see the face of God in people, we see the face of God around us. I don't know if we could do violence to one another. I don't know. So with that, go
Sister
ahead, please.
Julie, yeah, I think Sister Julie, there was a question on the chat. How can how can we we are in
What
the
could be done?
environmental crisis. What more can be done to raise awareness, even though much has been done by various congregation? I think it's not only the congregation. I think uh, this uh, this is a call for each of us, human beings, as Pope tells us in Laudato Si. This is for everybody, not just Catholics. Um, uh, but I think the word that is coming to me, and I think I will, this is really engages my heart right now, is the word from Philippians chapter 2, putting on the mind of Christ. Putting on the mind of Christ, I think, to put it in an ecological, it means the earth consciousness, the earth of the consciousness of being interconnected. That's what excites me. I think, that's the mind of Christ, and
Many
I'd
years
like to
ago,
keep that.
I'm sorry, many years ago, a young college student asked Mother Teresa, how do you do what you do every day, facing the horrendous situations that you do? And her reply to him was, do what is right in front of you. And I think that's all any of us can begin to do. What is right in front of each of us? And how do we respond to that? And in collaboration with others who are doing what is right in front of them, I truly do believe we can transform the world.
Yes. And so that brings us to our last couple minutes, and I think it's just really divine providence that brought us where we are right now with the last question and the responses that you receive. Because what I'm going to ask all of us is to just again take a moment, you know, of silence to just get in touch with what engaged your heart in the visuals, in what was said, what you heard, what engaged your heart, what emotions came up, what thought, what desire, what would lead you to action, to do your little part exactly where you are to make a difference. And whatever is in your heart, lift it to God as a prayer. For prayer is indeed the raising and the mind and heart to God. So we thank God for ourselves, we thank God for our world, thank God for technology that makes all of this possible. We pray that our choices may always be choices of simplicity, choices that create sustainability, choices that are respectful of ourselves and of our world, choices that always keep us connected. May we never make a choice that will continue to separate us. And I ask you to be aware of the Laudato Si movement. There's a lot on the platform that you can do. You can. I know the animators course is coming up in April, so you can. If you're not, if you've not studied the document and you really would like to study the document, is a fantastic course. I did it myself, and that really set me on fire. And so I would invite you to do that. And you can use any of the platforms and continue the chat, continue to talk with us, talk with the Laudato Si movement. And there are many things coming up. Maybe Jonathan may want to come on and tell you what's coming up. But I really want to thank each of you for your participation. I thank the panelists. The only sister I knew before today was Sister Carol Jean Willie, but now I feel I have 3 new friends, and I really thank you, Sister Marvi. I thank Sister Teresa, I thank Sister Shanda for being here and for your contribution, and God bless your work in whatever part of the world you are. May it just bear fruit for everyone. May we always have, because you are. So thanks to each of you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks to our participants. Without you, we could never do this. I wasn't seeing you, but I know I was doing it for you and with you. So that was part of my energy, commitment to you. So thanks. So Jonathan? I hope Jonathan didn't leave me. I know we were supposed to end at 2, so I was trying to. I like to end on time, so I hope I didn't.
He has
He
written a
said
comment in the chat.
we can end.
You can end, he says.
Oh, issue. Okay, okay then. Thanks
Thank you
much.
very much.
God bless.
Thank you. Thank
Have a
you.
good
Thank you,
evening.
Thank
Julie.
you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's really good to
Thank
know.
you.
Bye-bye.
Praise the Lord.
Bye.
Let's say that again.
Bye-bye.